Bow season is just around the corner. Are you ready? Here's a few quick tips and tactics that'll come in handy this fall. Alright folks, Alan Rubel coming back at you for Ozark Mountain Outdoor Ventures. We got season 3 coming up so quickly, it's really got my mind just going in all directions. But here are just a few quick tactics and tips that I do think about every season. Alright, first thing I want to talk to you about real quickly today is something that I get caught up in very easily, and so I coined the term myself. It's called deer politics, and I'm not talking about Washington DC or who's in the White House or anything like that. I'm talking about deer politics. What deer politics is when you have a tag in your pocket and you're afraid to pull the trigger because of what will come next, and you let something go and then something else go, and you end up not filling that tag over deer politics. Alright, we're just going to get into this a little bit further. Okay, so, you know, we all are going hunting for our own purposes, our own reasons. You know, some folks are going just to put meat on the table. Other individuals have been hunting for years, and they're going for that monster buck of a lifetime, a trophy whitetail. I'm not a trophy hunter, but I'm always looking and striving to better myself, and so really I'm going against myself and my personal best. I do put meat on the table. I do give away meat, so I'm a doe hunter as well. I get my adrenaline pumping on a doe. I will pull the trigger on a doe in a heartbeat. So a lot of times deer politics come into play. Also, the location where you might be hunting will also affect deer politics. We have several locations here in southwest Missouri that do have antler restrictions where it must be 4 points on one side. Now that doesn't necessarily always come into play to affect myself, because I am trying to strive and do more than my personal best. But if you're taking a youth hunter, 4 on one side could play into deer politics. Also, that opens up the door for those does. Are you going to shoot a doe that comes through, or are you going to wait on a monster buck that comes through? Deer politics. It's always so important to do your homework, putting out trail cams, putting in the time scouting, searching the area for those buck beds, seeing rubs and scrapes from the previous year. Is there a mature buck in the area? Are you seeing him on trail cam? The point being is we don't want to pull the trigger on that nice 8-point that just walked in, when every time on trail cam, here comes the 10-point right behind him. That's called deer politics. What do? Do you go ahead and pull the trigger on the nice 8-point? Because as my dad, Donnie D, would always say, 1 in the hand is better than 2 in the bush. And that has taught me a valuable lesson, because that next buck is not guaranteed. The only thing that is guaranteed is the moment that we have. I've been hunting since I was a kid, and I've only come up empty 2 seasons. That was 2018 and about 2009. I can't recall exactly. But it was due to deer politics, waiting on that big boy, and he never showed up. And that's fine if that's what you're out to do. We don't eat as much deer as we have in the past. So our need to put 2 or 3 deer down a season is not as great as it was. Opening up that opportunity to wait for the big monster buck to come in. But that is deer politics. All right, well, I'm one to think that the pursuit is one of the most enjoyable parts about hunting, and you almost don't want it to end. You do want to be successful, and we all have our own ways of measuring our own success. But once the hunt is over, it is over, and oftentimes we don't want to pull the trigger, even if it's on something that we would consider to be a nice buck, because of deer politics. The hunt will be over. We'll be sitting on the sidelines until gun season or until after gun season, or we might not even have another tag, depending on where your state is. But that's deer politics. Is when you're thinking about the future instead of putting your head in the moment and bearing down and taking the shot. Also, there are some locations where we've been hunting that we're looking to grow the deer herd with healthy herd, and also on my buddy Nick's family farm, seen several adolescent deer and small young bucks this last season, and that was a great sight to see, because we had actually gone, or myself personally has actually gone a few years there and not seen any bucks, and did see a handful of bucks. Did get to see one shooter, and was unable to seal the deal on it. It just happened so quickly. It was chasing a doe right past me. But that being said, there are times, there are areas that you want to let those young bucks grow. And now I'm not talking, again, our own personal best, or our own reasons for being in the woods, whether it be just because you're just getting into it and you want to at least get some under your belt, or if you're just hunting for meat. But letting those bucks grow, if we would all take the same stance of letting a young buck walk, then that will help more mature bucks be out there and available to make those trophy bucks more plentiful. But if you get into deer politics and feel like you can't let the small buck go because the person down the way is going to pull the trigger, that's part of deer politics. Is it a deer that you want to kill, or is it a deer that he wants to kill? If it's not a deer that you're getting excited about, if it's not a deer that is going to push you and strive you to be a better hunter, then let it walk. You never know. That next person might be a youth hunter and might just be getting into hunting, and that would be a perfect deer for them. You never know what's going to come by. But if it doesn't get your heart pumping, if it doesn't get your adrenaline racing, then let it walk. All we can do is be responsible for our own actions, and if we won't let that deer walk, then we can't say, well, the neighbor wouldn't let it walk either, because if we wouldn't let it walk, then we can't judge the person down the way if we're not even doing it ourselves. Low impact hunting. We got to keep that impact to the area that you're hunting at a minimum. That's scent control, that's direction of entry, that's even the amount of times that you hunt that within a month or the season. Keep that as low impact as possible. If you're going in there every other day, stomping through the brush, likely those deer are already patterning you. As we spend time in the summer patterning these deer and finding out their locations, they do the same for us, and they will pattern us when we start coming through the woods. Alright folks, last thing here I want to talk to you about real quickly, and it's super simple, and you may overthink it and think, man, well, what's about that? But it is being positive before the shot. There's so many things with bow hunting that comes into play, but you have to think positive. Don't think, oh, I'm going to miss, I'm going to miss, I'm going to miss. Think about what you need to do to hit your target. Connect your release. These are all steps. You go through your steps of what you have to do to make the shot. Get full draw. Find your anchor point. What's the yardage? Find your pin. All these things on a positive. Think positive of what you need to do to make the shot. If you think, I'm going to miss, I'm going to miss, I'm going to miss, you're going to miss. You have to think positive. You have to think about the things that you have to do to make the shot. If you're thinking you're going to miss, you're going to miss. Instead of thinking of the things that it takes to hit, then you've already set yourself up for failure. We spend so much time in the off season setting trail cams, mineral hooks, hanging tree stands, cutting shooting lanes. It is so important in those microseconds that you think positive and think of the things that you need to do to make the shot. Come this fall, when that big buck comes out in front of you, you make sure you take the extra few microseconds, think positive, breathe in, and make the shot count. See you next time.